Greetings, YouTube. I don't normally listen to conservative talk radio or religious type radio stations. I avoid channels like that here on YouTube, and I don't watch television at all. But there are occasions when I can't. Sometimes I'll hear clips on the radio. I listen to NPR every day. And so I'll hear clips from conservative pundits or politicians spouting off about what have you. Occasionally I'll hear a clip from a less famous conservative speaker or from a religious leader in those same clips. I encounter them here on YouTube on occasion, quite frequently in the Young Turks or other news segments. I read a whole lot of different blogs and things looking for interesting tidbits about culture and society and politics, things like that. So I do encounter them, and I find them nerve-wracking, teeth-grindingly annoying. Because a lot of time, they're putting forth a worldview that is not just unhealthy, but is flat-out wrong. But last weekend, I was out yard sailing on Sunday morning. It must have been around 9:30 when I walked into someone's driveway where they had set up a yard sailing area. So they had a number of tables set up and a number of items they were looking to sell. And two women were having a conversation which, from the few words I were able to pick up before they noticed I was there, seemed to border on the racist. But as soon as they saw me, they shut up, which was nice. But the radio was on. And the radio stayed on while I was there. So I perused their wares, and I actually bought a blanket for my mother-in-law. And the radio was some male speaker going off on the topic of the transgender community. Now, he was conflating a number of different things. Transvestites, transsexuals, sexual orientation, presentation, civil liberties, and he was getting pretty much every piece of data that he was spouting incorrect. He was creating this miasma of ignorance and of just outright bigotry, prejudice, and hatred. Dismissive, condescending. It was really quite horrible. Thankfully, the segment didn't last too long, and it ended before I left. And then they went to some commercials, which are just commercials. But it made me wonder, did this person put forth this worldview intentionally? They've crafted this. These words were crafted to create this kind of false impression about the trans community and the LGBTQ community in general. Or was it spoken out of pure and utter ignorance? Sincere and absolute ignorance. The person simply did not know what they were discussing. They heard some things that they considered to be weird and strange and scary, and so they just spouted off whatever it was that ran through their mind in an unfiltered manner. Because the person declared repeatedly that they didn't understand what was going on. They didn't understand about, what does it mean? What does a bisexual mean? They can't figure things out. They were just some of the worst stereotypes about people who are transsexual, people who are bisexual, people who are gay, transvestites, the whole nine yards. Conflating cross-dressing with transgenderism, or being transgender, with sexual orientation, and having a dismissive, prejudicial, bigoted attitude towards all these topics. Essentially, man and woman, male, female, those are the only things this person was able to grok. That's it. That God created man. All men are male, all women are female, and that's just it. There's no spectrum. There's no biological sex spectrum, and there is. Intersex people exist. There is no spectrum of gender expression, and there is. There is no spectrum of sexual orientation, and there is. And there is no spectrum of presentation, and there is. So this person ignored all of these things, conflating them in this web of confusion and ignorance, which was quite impressive, seeing as the segment was only about 1.5 to 2 minutes long. And yet in that time, they spouted such ignorance as to be mind-numbing. And I just looked at their stuff, and then I moved on after I bought the blanket, and I continued with my day. And I was tempted to talk to those women, but I'm not sure they would have understood what I said. Would they have gotten that the person they were listening to on that radio was spouting insanity? Whether planned insanity or inadvertent insanity, but insanity nonetheless. It was astounding, and it was heartbreaking, because there are people that are tuning into this guy every single week to listen to him. And there are people who are viewing this individual as a source of knowledge, of information. But in reality, of course, it's lies and misinformation. It's political agenda, propaganda. It's ammunition in the culture wars. I suppose in some way so is this. Except I'm trying to spread information and knowledge. I'm trying to spread an open discussion. I'm trying to show that there are spectrums in the world, that it isn't as binary as people would like to think. So tell me, my fair viewers, have you ever encountered these kind of radio programs? And do you know if these programs are generally a source of just unwitting ignorance, or are they crafted to create this swamp of misinformation and lies? Is that their intent? Since they can't win, they're just going to crash and burn as much as they can on their way out. I'd like to know, because I'm genuinely confused.